abad kedua. Mu'allimin satu abad, saatnya kita bertekad dengan hati yang lapang melanjutkan perjuangan untuk tegakkan keadilan di penjuru bumi pertiwi. Amanah Kiai Ahmad Dahlan buat semua anak negeri. Dari Jogja untuk umat dan bangsa, abad kedua telah kita mulai. Gemilau bara di jiwa, tetaplah. Mari bergandengan tangan, hadapilah setiap rintangan. Gerakkan langkah gemilang, jayalah masa depan.
Saat pertama ku hadir di sini, terasa bahagia di hati ini. Tak terasa waktu berlalu, 6 tahun sudah aku jalani. Segala rintangan ku hadapi, suka duka pun ku alami. Oh, di sini aku temui arti kehidupan sejati. Di sini aku dapati ilmu tuh bekalku nanti. Ya Allah, terima kasih segala yang telah kau beri. Terima kasih ustadz-ustadz kami yang telah membimbing kami. Tak terasa waktu berlalu, 6 tahun sudah dapati, ilmu tuh bekalku nanti. Mu'allimin, tempat yang suci, kan jadi pelita hati. Mu'allimin bermata hati.
Bapak dan Ibu yang terhormat, beberapa saat lagi agenda Konferensi Internasional Pendidikan Islam dengan tema Metode Pembangunan Karakter Siswa Selama Pandemi COVID-19 akan dimulai. Dengan hormat kami himbau Bapak dan Ibu sekalian untuk memilih tempat ternyaman, mengaktifkan kamera dan mematikan mikrofon selama acara berlangsung. Terima kasih. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The International Conference on Islamic Education with the theme Character Building Frameworks Through the COVID-19 Pandemic is about to begin. Please kindly ensure your most comfortable seat, activate the camera and mute the microphone during the conference. Your cooperation and attention are highly appreciated. Thank you. إلى السيدين والسيدات اهتمامكم من فضلك سيبدأ هذا المنبر ب10 دقائق قريبة. وقبل أن ندخل إلى أفضل الافتتاح بمنبر العالمي للتربية الإسلامية، مرجو منكم إلى أخذ خير المقعد وأن تفعلوا الكاميرا وأن تسكتوا الميكروفون بكم حينما يجري البحث في هذا النهر. على كل التفاهم والتساهل نشكركم جزيلا.
Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah sebagai sekolah kader persyarikatan 6 tahun mengembangkan 5 kompetensi utama menjadi satu kesatuan. Kompetensi keilmuan, kepribadian, kecakapan, kemanusiaan, serta kompetensi gerakan. Sehingga Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta mampu memposisikan sebagai institusi pendidikan Muhammadiyah di tingkat menengah yang unggul dan mampu menghasilkan kader ulama, pemimpin dan pendidik sebagai pembawa misi gerakan Muhammadiyah di masa yang akan datang.
Selamat siang dan selamat datang kami ucapkan di Konferensi Internasional Pendidikan Islam yang dengan bangga dipersembahkan dalam rangka memeringati Milad Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta ke-102 dengan tema Metode Pembangunan Karakter Siswa Selama Pandemi COVID-19. Bapak dan Ibu yang terhormat, agenda ini akan kita mulai tepat pukul 1 siang waktu Indonesia Barat. Terima kasih. Welcome to the chamber for all guests and participants. The International Conference on Islamic Education proudly brought to you in commemorating 102nd anniversary celebration of Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, this agenda will begin at 1 p.m. according to the local time. Thank you. ضيوفنا الأعزاء، أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم إلى منبر العالمي للتربية الإسلامية التي يمارسها مدرسة المعلمين المحمدية بمدينة يوكياكارتا أندونيسيا. أقام هذا البرنامج لاحتفال ميلادها بالمئة عام. سيجري هذا البرنامج بموضوع خاص طريقة إقامة أخلاق التلاميذ تحت وباء كورونا فيروس. سيبدأ البرنامج هذا النهار في 1:00 تماما متعلقا بوقت الداخل بيوكياكارتا إن شاء الله. شكرا. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second International Conference on Islamic Education 2020. It is such a big pleasure for me to be given second chance to present this monumental forum to you. As the master of ceremony, allow me to deliver a special greeting to all of you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang and good afternoon from Indonesia. And today, such an amazing day for all of us to be granted by His blessings and mercies. Ladies and gentlemen, many sectors are ruined as the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic hard situation, including the educational sectors, particularly Islamic characteristic education, or we call as akhlak. Today, we are about to discuss and share personal sides or ideas relating to solve these issues. The topic will be presented by several reputable and prominent figures from several countries that expert on their fields. Before we move to the main agenda, please allow me to welcome all of the panelists who's been here among us. Your Excellency, Mr. Habib Hirzin, the member of Muallimin's Board of Trustees, welcome. Your Excellency, Mr. Ali Aulia, the Director of Madrasah Muallimin in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, welcome. Your Excellency Mr. Ishak Ma, the General Consultant of Taiwan in Heart Halal Certification Authority, welcome. Your Excellency Mr. Adam Aslam, the Leeds Muslims Youth Activist from United Kingdom, welcome sir. Your Excellency Professor Dr. Muhammad Nur Manuti, the Board of Trustees of the University Sultan Zainal Abidin from Malaysia, welcome sir. Your Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Jalab, the Deputy Director of the Fatih Sultan Mehmet International Imam Hatip School from Istanbul, Turkey. Hoş geldin ve günaydın hoca. Thank you very much for your attendance and precious time for today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, we're about to hear the recitation of the Holy Quran recited by Mr. Basaruddin. Please, the stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن خبير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the beautiful recitation. May Allah bless all of us always, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the director of Madrasah Muallimin, Mr. Ali Aulia. In the next 15 minutes, he about to deliver welcoming speech to all of you. To Mr. Ali Aulia, please, the stage is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umurid dunya waddin wassalatu wassalam ala rasulil mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. The Honorable Ustadz Habib Hirzin and the speakers from Taiwan, Mr. Ishak Siochi, and from Turkey, Mr. Mahmud Celeb, from Malaysia, Professor Muhammad Nur Manuti, and from UK, Adam Aslam. The first, this event is the anniversary of Muallimin Muhammadiyah 102. In this event and this anniversary, Muallimin Muhammadiyah bring the theme of the cadre and new era of education. I start my opening speech with surah. Can I share our speech? I start our speech with surah An-Nisa ayah 9. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Wal yakhshal ladina law taraku min khalfihim dzurriyyatan di'afa khafu 'alaihim falyattaqullah wal yaqulu qawlan shadida. Dzurriyyatan di'afa. We have responsibility for our students, our derivatives, not only material but also immaterial, especially education. Education is the great challenge of this century. Education and learning, if just content of just content, not give attitude, give skills. I think will be results with missing. I start how human and missing difference, tafkir, thinking, al-maharah al-insaniyah, al-kafa'ah al-insaniyah. The human competency is the thinking, communication, sensing, moving, imagining, connecting. But if we just a cognitive perspective, I think will be ready to be crushed by machine. I start be the meaning of education. Education is activities which are to help person, to help group to develop a view of life, life attitudes, life skill, not just cognitive value, but the important for the education is word value, word value, view of life, life of attitude, life of skill. And then if that, the question is to this thema, what will be done with personal life? What should be done about the physical environment? What does the social environment mean to personal life? What will I do with the next generation and the generation? There is this question of our thema and our discussion and our conference in this event. Because the character building must be answers about the questions. Education to know oneself, of humanity, not being arrogant, wala tamsi fil ardi maroha, understanding nature, intellectuality, and emotion, and emotive. I think wala tamshi fil ardi maroha, man qatala nafsan qatalan nasa jamia. I think not just the cognitive, but how know oneself and humanity, understanding nature to intellectuality and emotion, and how to use natural resources. I think to give ta'awun, to give brotherhood, ukhuwah, I think this is the course of the character education. I start how Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah, I think, to develop our students to give the character building. For the students, we give there for pedagogies. One of them is supporting character building. I think from Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan, founding fathers Muhammadiyah, and then the first director of Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah, he teach us about the four pedagogies, understanding and applying, supporting character in build, and then competency-based approach and high order thinking. I give both the character building, supporting the character building. There is the important target, the education objective, to good akhlakul karimah and innama bu'istu liutammima makarimal akhlak wa ghairuha. I think how Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah to process the character building, I think we have learning and teaching process. We have role model from Ustad, from Pamong, from Musrif, and to guides, we have rule, we have bi'ah, we have habituation, we have reward and punishment to give our students, to give our generation to make character building. for the education, just not the cognitive. And then finally, I think we have 5 competences, not just science, but personality. I think social humanity, proficiency, and then we have the competence of the movement. This is the 5 competence of Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah. I think it's very important for the men now, not just cognitive or not just science, but personality, but social humanity. But we have a competence of move, harakah al-mahariyah. Finally, maybe I end my opening remark and opening speech with a quote. ليس العلم بكثرة التعلم إنما هو نور يقع في قلب من يريد الله أن يهديه فإذا أردت العلم فاطلب أولا في نفسك حقيقة العبودية واطلب العلم باستعماله واستفهم الله يفهمك. I think the important the character building of education is the awalan fi nafsika haqiqatal ubudiyah. Must teach our students, teach our generation about insaniyah atau karamatul insaniyah atau must awalan oneself, no view of self, no attitude of life, know what the wadhifatul hayah. Awalan fi nafsika haqiqatal ubudiyah. Thank you very much for all participation. Inshallah, we many ma'lumat, many and then inshallah we welcome to our event, our international conference on Islamic education. Inshallah we can be manfaah for this event, inshallah. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for such an outstanding, warmest welcome speech that delivered by Mr. Ali Aulia. We hope that these remarks could be the monumental opening for today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next panel forum session will be led and handled by Mr. Darmawan Budi Satria, an English expert and teacher in Madrasah Muallimin. Please, Mr. Darmawan, all is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Participants, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second international conference on sorry for the inconvenience. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Director of Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Board of Trustee of Muallimin and Muallimat Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, dear all the participants, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second international conference on Islamic education with the theme Character Building Framework for Students through the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Darmawan Budi Satria, and I will be your moderator in this conference. Nowadays, we are facing a very difficult situation because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And as teachers and educators, we need to change on how we deal with our students and also how we interact with them. And the issue on the character education become a very hot issue today. And this condition has encouraged us to conduct this prestigious conference with our distinguished speakers. Let me introduce you to our distinguished speakers. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Habib Hirzin, the member of Board of Trustee of Madrasah Muallimin and Muallimat Yogyakarta. And our second speaker will be Ustadz Haj Ishaq Xiaoqi MA, the chairman of International Muslim Tourism Industry Development Associations and the general consultant of Taiwan In-Heart Halal Certification Authority. And our third speaker is Mr. Mahmud Jalab, the Deputy Director of Fatih Sultan Mehmet International Imam Hatip High School, Istanbul, Turkey. And our fourth speaker is Professor Mahmud Nur Manuti, the former Senator of Malaysian Parliament, the President of Angkatan Belia Islam Malaysia, ABIM, and the lecturer of Usuluddin and Philosophy of International Islamic University of Malaysia. And our last speaker will be Mr. Adam Aslam, a youth work and community development practitioner from Leeds, United Kingdom. Okay. Each speaker will be given 20 minutes for speech, and the questions and answer session will be conducted after all presenters deliver their presentations. If you have any questions, write your questions on the chat column and to whom the question is addressed to. And now, let's welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Dr. Habib Hirzin. Before we start the presentations, let me read out and let me highlight some of the important points of Dr. Habib Hirzin. He was born in Yogyakarta, the 8th of January, 1949. Since March 2019, he is the member of International Advisory Council of ISTAC, International Islamic University of Malaysia. He is also the member of Board of Trustee of Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. He also received some awards. The first is International Aga Khan Award Architectures in Pakistan 1980. And the second is the Ambassador of Goodwill from the state of Arkansas, United States by Bill Clinton in 1987. And the last, the Ambassador of Peace, the Interreligious and International Federation for the World Peace in 2002. Okay, to start the presentations under the title Character Building Framework for Students Through the COVID-19 Pandemic, delivered by Dr. Habib Hirzin, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi ala al-ali ala alladzi khalaqa fasawwa walladzi qaddara fahada alladzi ja'ala al-falah liman tazakka wa dzakara isma rabbi fasalla. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala hadha an-nabiyil mustafa wa man ittaba'ahu amma ba'd. It's indeed a great pleasure to me and to the Board of Trustee of Madrasah Muallimin and Muallimat Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta to extend our warm welcome to all speakers, especially to my dearest and respected brother, Professor Dr. Muhammad Nur Manuti, one of the prominent scholars and prominent leaders in Indonesia, and to all of the speakers, my brother Ishaq, Nihoma, Sisinin, and also our brother from Mahmud Sireh, brother Aslam Adam, and all of the speakers. And I would like also to express my sincere thanks and to all of the speakers from along the way from different countries, from UK, from Turkey, and Malaysia, and also from Taiwan. So thank you very much. I highly appreciate your availability to be speakers and to be uh, resource persons in this international conference held by Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta in the occasion of 102nd Milad today. Alhamdulillah that I'm here. I would like to again congratulate Muallimin and Muallimat Muhammadiyah for the 102nd anniversary as Muhammadiyah has been established in 119,018, and it has been established by founder of the Muhammadiyah, Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan, and since its inception, that Muallimin and Muhammadiyah, by the name of the Ismail Arqa, has been adapting the integration of knowledge, no separation between knowledge, between science and religion. The integration of knowledge in the Arabic and the Netherlands, they call it is the integration between Wetenschap and Al-Quran, integration between Wetenschap, knowledge, and Al-Quran. At-takamul al-ma'rifi, at-takamul al-almi. As the modern institution, from the very beginning, the Muhammadiyah, and especially in the two educational institutions established by the founder of Muhammadiyah, Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan, it has adopted integration between the heritage and the contemporary, al-asalah wal-ma'asirah, the contemporary, the modern, and also the heritage. I'm happy to mention here that Muhammadiyah, in this case, Muallimin and Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah, has contributed 3 national heroes, which has been awarded as a national hero by the President, by the state, by government of the Republic of Indonesia. The first, Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan himself as the founder and the first director. And the second, the director of 1930, Kiai Haji Mas Mansur. He is a very famous hero and national hero in Indonesia for the independence. And later, he became one of the what they call quartet of Sukarno, who became president, and Hatta, who became vice president, and then Ki Hajar Dewantoro, the founder of the Taman Siswa, who is regarded as the national father of the national education in Indonesia, and Ki Haji Mas Mansur, the director of Muallimin Muhammadiyah. So, with this issue, I would like to mention here that from the very beginning, Muallimin Muhammadiyah, as well as the Muallimat Muhammadiyah, has made a character building, moral education as the core of the education. It's not only tarbiyah, but at-ta'dib. Ta'dib is akaramah, insaniyah, human integrity, and this character building, and also moral education as the main part of the education, as at-ta'dib, wa-tahdhib, and also tarbiyah. And currently, during this COVID pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we are facing a new era. We are facing the new problem of communication, and which has been changed. There is a process of what do you call immense, very deep changes in our daily life, even in our education, our communication, and our economy. So due to this new problem, we have to have a new way of educating, especially in character education. I'm happy that Muhammadiyah, and especially Muallim Muhammadiyah, has at least three heroes, and another hero was Kiai Professor Abdul Kahar Muzakir. Professor Abdul Kahar Muzakir has been very active since when he was in his study in Cairo as the founder of the Indonesian Youth Movement for Indonesian Independence. It was something in 32, 38. And then he became member of the preparatory committee for Indonesian independence. In the same time, Kiai Abdul Kahar Muzakir, the former director of Muallimin Muhammad Jakarta, has been also a member of the drafting committee for the Pancasila and also the preamble, the Muqaddimah of the Indonesian Constitution. So it's very important roles in Indonesian independence and also in the Indonesian development. I'm happy that to mention this because by this example, we can educate and nurture this moral education and character building by giving an examples. Because al-uswah al-hasanah, wa khairun nasi dhu syarafin qadimin wa qamal li nafsi syarafan jadidan. It's important to give an example to the younger generation. We have Professor Hamka, one of the prominent scholars in Muhammadiyah. He's also one of the former chairman of Muhammadiyah, and Kasman Singodimojo. They are example of men with character, men with high moral, with noble morality and noble character. So giving an example is one of the most effective way of educating on the character education. And during the pandemic, we need new approach. We need new innovation and creativity. We should be creative at the speed والاجتهاد في النظريات. And also we have to create the new innovation in a way we can effectively educate, nurture this character. Because, character education is not in the empty society. We are living in ever-changing, even rapid changing of society. So we have to learn about the future. We have to have a new mapping, new mind mapping. The old mind mapping is not enough to really educate the new generation, the millennial generation, with a new way of thinking, the new way of looking at the world, ourselves, and also the way of education. And now we are during the pandemic. all are working from home. So we have to create the new way of educating, which is not boring but interesting and also liberating. Liberating is that we have to get along with students and with the family. We have to include and involve the family as the center of education. In the past, the family has been neglected, left out. But in the pesantren system, in the Taman Siswa system, in the Among system, actually there are three mode of education, three center of education, three con, yeah, center of education, the family, the society, and the schools. So school is not everything. And now pandemic reminded us and teach us how to involve, how to strengthen and to empower the home, the mothers, the fathers. And we have to know that in the future generation, we will face the new well, role of fathers and mothers, yeah, in the home or in the family life. So we have to prepare since now that education not only centered in the teachers and the classroom, but we have to empower the school, not only schools, but also the family and the society as the centers of education. So one of my purpose, bit of this way of looking at the current development, we have to have new literacy, future literacy, literacy about the future. We have to prepare the Islamic future for our society, for our generation, because in Muhammadiyah schools, especially in Mu'alimin and Mu'alimat, they will be teachers, they will be leaders. So character education, character building must be started from the home, from the schools, especially during this pandemic. And you know, currently the pandemic has been seen as a what we call the new phenomena in terms of time. There is changes of new sense of time, even sense of time. Usually in our daily life, we used to use the calendar of Masehi, we call it the Christian Anno Domini, yeah, the Christian time. Now, the pandemic will becoming the new milestone of the calendar. It will be new way of looking at our calendar, not begin from the Christian era, but from this pandemic era. This pandemic era will be new anno progressio, that will be progress and we alive, stay alive because of this pandemic, and it put as the milestone of the new era, the new epoch. And even in the international, what they call economic forum, the World Economic Forum is in Davos in Switzerland, they have made some what they call discussion on uh, the changes for the future. Yeah. At least there will be 4 ways of working, the ways of the working in the future. there will be 4 ways of working in the future. First, that in the future, most of the people will work from home. So there is new era of the utopia where working from home using the distance learning, distant economy, yeah, and so on and so forth, will be our way of working. So we shall be prepared that after the pandemic, the IT, yeah, the IT, using IT will be continued not only after the pandemic, but the whole in the future we will again use this international ID. The second, we call it as green collar job. The green collar job will replace the white collar job and the blue collar job. In the past, the people who are working in the industries, in the industry, in the railway stations, yeah, they are called as the blue collar job. And people like us who has a teaching in the university and also as the medical doctor, as the consultant, they used to be called as the white collar job. But in the future, the green collar job will be the most important job. Yeah, will be open up because this current what you call the global warming because of the climate change, and everybody has changed their way of working using the what you call the resources. Yeah. Even the machine, yeah, they're not using the oils, yeah, but now they are using the electricity, and even in America, they are now accepting the protocol to keep on the global warming and the Paris, what you call it's indication that in the future the green colors job will be open. The third, we call it as gig revolution. Gig revolution is gig is mean that non-permanent working, yeah, like Uber, like Gojek, yeah, and yeah, it's most people will work as a part time, and even they will work not as the full time and until the end of life, but maybe they will work in one place and they will move to another place. So the gig revolution is give also a new way of people with the uh, disability. We call it people with different ability. People with different ability. Call it in bahasa Indonesia orang berkebutuhan khusus. Kalau di Malaysia, we call it as the orang yang berkeupayaan, ya, kurang keupayaan. We call it as the people with different abilities. They will have more job for them and also for the elderly people, for the people in the golden age. And finally, that the automation that people, we are now we are using the way of working from distance. Yeah. So in the future, because of the automation, so distant what you call social distancing is not only during the pandemic, but social distancing also will happen in the factories, yeah, in the working places, and so on and so forth. So we have to be ready. So finally, I would like to conclude that we must be ready for the changes, and Atakamul al-ma'rifi, atakamul al-ilmi, integration of knowledge should be basis of the education, especially on the moral education and character education. And we have to manage to empower the family to have a program on literacy for the not only for the teachers but for the fathers and mothers, auntie, brothers and sisters, and also the community members. So the community members should be a teacher, will be a group of teachers in the society during the pandemic, because we cannot have a schooling education daily in the classroom. So we have to uh, accommodate this too, but not only accommodate, we have to create our own future. Have to have a what they call the creative, but also innovative and at-tajdid fil ilmi wa tajdid fil hadara. That's what I would like to what they call our brothers from the speakers, Professor Manuti, Brother Ishak, Brother Adam, Aslam, and Brother Mahmud, to elaborate this way of new teaching of education and the through during this pandemic. And I thank you all for your kind participation, and I'm happy to congratulate all of the participants, especially the alumni of Muallimin and Muallimat in this occasion of 102 Milad, Eidul Milad As-Sa'id, wa taqabbalallah minna wa minkum, and Nasr minallah wa fang qarib. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the amazing presentations by Dr. Habib Kirzin. Let me highlight some important points delivered by Dr. Habib Kirzin. So the first is the importance of moral educations, and we also we should be able to develop our creativity as teacher, especially in dealing with the rapid change of technology. So that's why teachers should be creative, and moral education is the most important thing when we educate our children. So Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah has a long history in dealing with the education, especially the moral education. Well, thank you for the amazing presentations by Dr. Habib Kirzin. And now we go to our second speaker. And our second speaker is Ustadz Haj Ishak Xiaoqi MA. Let me highlight some important word from Ustadz Haj Ishak Xiaoqi. He accomplished his Bachelor of Art from the Department of Sociology, Quirinus University, Libya in 1988, and he also accomplished his graduate from the Department of Ethnology, National Chengchi University, Taiwan. He is also the Director General of Taipei Grand Mosque and also the Commission Member of Mongolian and Tibetan Affairs Commission. He also the President Delegate of the Holy See for the funeral of late Pope John Paul II, and he also the Secretary General of Chinese Muslim Associations. And now he is the Chairman of International Muslim Tourism Industry Development Associations and the General Consultant of Taiwan In-Heart Halal Certification Authority. And now he is going to present the importance of digital learning in Islamic character educations under the pandemic conditions. Ustadz Haj Ishak Xiaoqi, are you ready?
Yes,
Yeah?
we see you now. Yeah.
Okay, and the floor
We have,
is yours.
PPT.
Okay, you have the PPT?
Can we use or no?
Yeah, you can use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me share your screen.
It's this one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hello. What is that?
Okay. Uh, so let's wait for a moment. There is a technical problem, especially with the problem on the bandwidth. So just wait for a moment. Okay. So Ustad Haj, Ustad Ishak is available or not? Okay, so sorry for the inconvenience. So let's have for a moment. Ustad Ishak is leaving for the moment because of his network problem. Ustad Ustad Ishak, are you there? Okay, let me Ustad Ishak. Okay, let's wait for a moment. Let me check whether Ustad Ishak is available or not. Yeah, he is available, but still trying to connect to the Zoom meeting. Okay.
Okay. Now it's okay now.
Okay, connected. Welcome back, Ustad Ishak. Sudah, okay, already. Yeah.
Already?
Yes, connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Okay, the time is yours.
Now. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى جميع المرسلين وأنبيائه وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته all of participation in this forum. So thank you for the Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Jakarta. I am Taiwan Muslim Haji Ishaq Ma. I'm born a Muslim family in Taiwan. So today I want to presentation. My speak is character education on student through the COVID-19 pandemic. As we know, the COVID-19 is very danger for us. So in whole the world, we are under challenger, but Alhamdulillah, we have an Iman Billahi, and we have an Islam, we have Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So as ayah Quran Surah Al-Baqarah 155, قال الله تعالى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. So we are under the challenges. Allah give us the test. The test with the something of fear and hunger and some not in food, in goods. So, but they give the credit to those who anciently and perseveres. So in Taiwan, we take this chance. We through the education by the technology, especially the online learning. Online in our masajid mosque, we have 10 mosques in Taiwan. Our Muslim around 320,000 Muslim in Taiwan. The total population is 23 million. The Muslim is a minority, only 320,000 only. We have 10 mosques and 4 mosques from Indonesia speaking imam, and 6 mosques. 6 mosques is a Chinese language imam, and 4 imam is other mosque is 4 imam is from Indonesia. So we are in Taiwan. We use the technology, high technology, to da'wah. Very easy to non-Muslim or to Muslim. Like for me, usually I go to speak to the university to speak. In this moment, I use the PowerPoint to speak around about Islamic knowledge to Muslim, our children, or to the non-Muslim. They want to know the Islamic. So in Taiwan, majority Islamic news from Europe, from America. So something mistaken, misthinking, misunderstanding about Islam. So we use the technique to speak, to spread the lesson, the Islam, truly Islam, the truly Islam. And we also we use the halal food. We use the halal food. Through the halal education, we talk to the government, we talk to the businessmen, we talk to the students, understanding what is the halal. Halal means is all the things allowed, especially is the food and drink we can eat, we can drink. So halal, we can talk to the non-Muslim, use this word to understand, eat the halal food. So especially Taiwan is a non-Muslim country. Taiwan is non-Muslim country. So we speak Islam, we speak to Islam to him easy by the food, especially the halal food. They understand what means halal. Allah qala Allah Ta'ala, Ya ayuhan nas, kulu ma fil ardi halalan tayyiba. So this halal tayyiba, not for Muslim only, especially also to non-Muslim can eat. So we are calling the people to the mosque, calling the people to understand the meaning is halal. Easy to understand, easy to understand the Islam. So also we are in Taiwan through the computer, through the online, through the Zoom meeting, we are focused on three way. One is as we say, Radaitu billahi Rabban wa bil Islami dinan wa bi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nabiyyan wa rasulah. So Radaitu billahi Rabban is Tawheed. Tawheed is easily in our Muslim, easily to get, to accept. But the non-Muslim, we are talking through the Islam. Raditu billahi Rabban wa bil Islami dinan. Islam dinan is ibadah. Bunya Islam ala khamsa. Al-shahada wa-salat wa-sawm wa-zakah wal-hajj. This also we talk to the Muslim, easily to accept. But the non-Muslim, we are focused on the Raditu bil Muhammad Nabiyan wa Rasulah. Because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is our qudwa, our sample. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his life, he have good muamalat, good behavior with non-Muslim, with the Yahud, with the Nasrani, with the Kuffar. But he is better. We can learn from him. So we are in Taiwan. We have to focus on the behavior, muamalat with the non-Muslim, because here is a non-Muslim country. So we are focused on muamalat, communication with the non-Muslim. We are focused on what we, as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, man yuhram al-rifqah, yuhram al-khayr kullahu. Man yuhram al-rifqah. Rifqah mean is meanness, mildness, kindness. Uslub, humble, humility with a non-Muslim. So if the Muslim, they want to da'wah, they want to communicate with a non-Muslim, especially in non-Muslim country in Taiwan, so he must understand al-rifqa. He must understand al-rahmah. كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس منا من لم يرحم صغيرنا ولم يوقر كبيرنا. Ar-Rahma is a mercy. So Muslim must mercy to children, respect to the old man. So we are Muslim. We must to do with the non-Muslims merciful. We to do with non-Muslim mindedness, good behavior, kindly in Taiwan. So majority we are talking the non-Muslim focus. Islam is a rahmah. As we in Quran say, Innama ba'asnaka wa ma arsalnaka illa rahmatan lil alamina. Rahmah. Rahmah is very important for us. For to do with the non-Muslim, to do with the Muslim. So Islam is a rahmah. Islam also is a rifqah. It's very nice. It's very important for us. So today we are face the challenge is Islamic phobia. Islamic phobia is very we know in the non-Muslim country or in the Muslim country is very our challenge. Our challenge is a misunderstanding Islamic, misunderstand the Muslim. We are like a terrorism, but Islam is peace. Islam is humble. Islam is a rahmah, mercy. Islam is good. Like in Taiwan, we are focused on our education from children in our mosque. So we give our course, the children course in the mosque, because we didn't have the university, Islamic university. We didn't have madrasa. We didn't have the high school, Islamic high school. We don't have. We just our education in the mosque only. So we are focused on our children must learning first, adab. The adab is polite. Adab is akhlaq. Adab is khulq. So adab is also the forgiveness. Like this one, so we are in Taiwan, the minority group, but we use the technology to teach our children, to teach non-Muslim through the online learning. Our online learning in Taiwan very higher the skills. So at the future also we have to learn, we have to teach our children, our Muslims to use this technology, especially under the virus, because in Taiwan I cannot go to other country, and also your Indonesia, also sometimes Malaysia, also now is isolation under the separate. So the da'wah by technology online is very important now. So in Taiwan, we have Indonesia group students. They are learning in Taiwan. They have group. They make online learning and online teaching program. This by the Indonesia Muslim in Taiwan. So, and we in future, inshallah, we have many cooperation between Taiwan and Indonesia, with Malaysia also, with Turkey, with UK, with any country, inshallah. So finally, I want to talk halal food and halal tourism. Muslim tourism in Taiwan now is very easy through this way to speak, to preach the Islam. Islam is a safety, full safety. Islam very concerned cleaning. Islam very concerned and our body. So دعوة بالحكمة, بالموعظة, بالحكمة. So in Taiwan, we use the halal food, halal tourism, halal product to teach non-Muslim to understanding the truly meaning in Islam. So thank you very much at this invitation, and I hope through this Zoom, through this online, we have a good result and future we can do together. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the amazing sharing, Ustadz Ishak. Okay, so let me highlight some important points from Ustadz Ishak. The first, Islamic life in Taiwan as minority is a problem there. And learning akhlak and politeness is one of the way to bridge between Muslim community and the global community in Taiwan. And Ustadz Ishak also highlight the importance of digital literacy, especially for our children. We have to teach our students to deal with technology, on how we operate the technology and how we have to conduct and to deal with the rapid change of technology. And then building good communications among others. And the last, the most important thing is that halal tourism or promotion is the way of da'wah to bridge between Muslim society and Taiwan. So that's why when we can go hand in hand, especially in our life and our children, then we can spread Islam. Yeah, through halal tourism and promotion. Thank you, Ustadz Ishak, for the amazing sharing. So let's go to our third speaker. Our third speaker will be Mahmud Jalab. He is from Turkey and he was born in 1979. After his primary education, he completed his Hafiz education. He accomplished his high school education in Imam Hatip High School in Istanbul. Then he graduated from Istanbul University, Department of Sociology. And he started teaching in 2001, and after his compulsory military service, he worked as a teacher and administrator in various schools of Istanbul. He has written over 20 books for a publishing house. Between 2010 and 2014, he accomplished his associate degree in theology and his postgraduate in educational administrations and supervisions. He made a thesis study on knowledge perceptions in learning teaching processes and errors in knowledge perceptions. And now he is working as the deputy director responsible for the projects in Fatih Sultan Mehmet International Imam Hatip High School, Istanbul, Turkey. And he will be assisted by his interpreter or translator. So, Ustadz Mahmud Jalab, the time is yours.
Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Greetings,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Madrasah Muallimin, Director Mr. Ali Awliya, my fellow colleagues and everyone. I would like to state my thanks to Madrasah Muallimin for holding such organization. I am really glad to be a participant to such a nice conference. As you might know, currently I am Deputy Director of Fatih Sultan Mehmet International High School, Turkey. We have international students from 16 countries. Today, we'll be talking about character education during the period of pandemic. I will prepare character education to building. The main pillars of this building are belief in Allah, righteous deeds, spreading goodness, and continuing it patiently. This is how the human character develops and matures. Faith in Allah should be given together with the dimension of the hereafter. That is, accountability should be at the forefront. This basis of faith in Allah is the awareness of accountability. It is the awareness that what we do is being recorded all the times, at all times. It is imperative that we activate the worship and benevolence system in order to internalize this consciousness, that is to make it a part of our character. However, in order for the benevolence system to be functional, one must have certain competitions. We call this value system justice, courage, chastity, avoidance of waste, compassion, faithfulness, humility, respect, honesty, sincerity, sharing, tolerance. It is interesting that in order to have these values, worship and right out, these are necessary. These are like two hands feeding each other. After these two systems are active, the system of spreading goodness should be started. In order to steal this system, well, this should be continuous patiently. These four codes have been given to us in Surah Al-Aqf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws attention to century, that is the years that cover human life. Then he informs that those who do not know our principles, not apply them despite holding are invested. Those who attain salvation, on the other hand, give us for keepers such as believe, those who do right deeds, those who advise the right, and those who patiently continue to do so. There are two important aspects for character education. Number one, the qualifications of the educator. Number two, principle of character education. Let's first look at the qualifications of the educator. The person who will give character education must know sciences such as religious sciences, psychology, sociology, story, philosophy, literature, logic. 2. Knowing, declining the weakness of human beings to know human nature very well. 3. The trainer should also develop his own character and know that this will continue for life. 4. Must use technology well, recognize presentation programs, and prepare effective presentation in order to provide character education during the pandemic period. 5. Students should know motivating stories and be able to present a role model to the students with case studies. 6. Listen and understand students without judgment and make the child notice instead of giving advice. 7. Think is a versatile way and open the students' horizons and direct her in the right direction. 8. Should be an example and for the students in the subject of faith, worship, and morality. 9. Give to the student the opportunity to make mistakes and make them aware to their mistakes. 10. He should be tolerant and forgiving like our prophet. Character education should be based on principles. In Turkey, very famous, we say, you say it doesn't mean that hear it. It doesn't mean that it has heard or detected. Detected does not mean that he accepted. He accepted does not mean he will apply. He apply, it does not mean will continue. Very important. Character education, it is an activity to change emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. It takes a lot of effort to change a person's feeling, thoughts, and behaviors and to make them permanent. It takes time, it takes patience. The education should continue his education patiently. Principle 2. The child is educated by eye, not verbally. The character trainer must first own the character he wants to gain. As Ghazali said, knowledge is action. Therefore, he shouldn't act with his educational knowledge. It should be science and avoid showing off. His intention must always be Allah subhanahu. The values that he wants to bring to the student must first be owned by himself. It should show these values to the students by experiencing. This will be a little more difficult during the pandemic process. Stories are very important here. A story can be told. on any subject. Principle 3. Good deeds take away bad deeds. 114th verse of Surah. People became good character by doing good. The educator should create opportunities to do good for his students, especially during the pandemic period. It can be determined together which benefits can be done. The favors we will do to mother and father and neighbor and relative and elderly and children, animals, our country, humanity, and even ourselves are determined. A rise can be started in this kindness movement. Goodness rehabilitates people. Principle 4. Character education is spirit and training. The human soul, in Plato's words, consists of three parts: mind, emotions, and appetite. Mind should be educated by knowledge, emotions, and appetite with worship and rituals. Awarenesses should be created with effective presentation during the pandemic period. Principle 5. Character education is the child's self-awareness and self-awareness. The character trainer should carry out activities to introduce himself to the child and motivate her. As the child gets to know himself, he will know his weakness and will make an effort to strengthen his self-knowledge of the child is the most important principle of character education. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, thank you for the amazing presentation by Ustadz Mahmud Jalab from Sultan Mahmud Imam Fatih Junior High School, Istanbul, Turkey. Let me highlight some of the important points. The first one is what determine the education, the character education is the first qualifications of educators on how the educators deal with the rapid change of technology, and then how the educators listen and understand students without judgments and direct students to the right directions and provide good example and also provide opportunities for students to make mistake. It is a hard job for the educators. And the second one is the principle of character education is that the activity to change emotions, thought, and behavior. And he also highlighted stories can be a solution on the situation. The stories can be taught from many subjects, from mathematics, science, and social science, and history. So stories can bring a lot of moral values for our students. Okay, well, thank you very much for the amazing presentations by Ustadz Mahmud Jalab. And then the fourth presenter is Professor Muhammad Nurmanuti from Malaysia. Let me highlight some important thing about Professor Mahmud Nurmanuti. He is former senator of Malaysian parliaments, the President of Angkatan Belia Islam Malaysia, ABIM, and now he is the lecturer of Usuluddin and Philosophy of the International Islamic University of Malaysia. And he is a very close friend from Dr. Habib Khirzin. And now the floor is your Professor Muhammad Nur Manuti.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الأمين سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Our dear respected moderator, my dear distinguished friend and my close colleague, Professor Khirzin, and distinguished professors, different parts of the Muslim world, from Taiwan, from Turkey, from Indonesia. Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Madrasah Al-Muallimin Al-Muhammadiyah for this very extraordinary day, celebrating the 100 years of its establishment. And I also want to take this opportunity to say terima kasih, Jazakumullah, for inviting me. Although actually, after listening to all these speeches, including our distinguished Professor Habib, I think I do not want to talk anymore because the macro and micro aspect of the so-called character education with reference to COVID-19 has been discussed. In particular, the theory of macro and micro of character building by Professor Mahmoud from Turkey. I just want to say that go back to the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which our Prophet says, "Addabani Rabbi fa ahsana ta'dibi," that Allah has ordained him with character and etiquette. Addabani Rabbi fa ahsana ta'dibi, and Allah has given him the most perfect etiquette or akhlaq or morality. And that is our basic principle when we discuss about character building, because education does not mean advanced technology. Education does not mean diploma or degrees or certificates in schools, but education, in essence, it is building character of human being, as Plato and Aristotle also discussed, and other educators, including Mahatma Gandhi, Confucianism. We share the same values that in education, character, or in our bahasa Malaysia, bahasa Indonesia, bina manusia, bina insan. Or when we call to economy now in Indonesia, you are popularizing the phrase economy manusiawi. So we want to see education also, education of manusiawi, at-tarbiyatul insaniyah, at-tarbiyatul akhlaqiyah. So now you want to confine this to the issue of pandemic COVID-19. I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring back, inshallah, will kill this COVID-19 as soon as possible, although it is said a year and 2 years from now, approximately. But we want to go back to the changes which happen. I go along with Professor Habib. There are changes happen in the world today with the advance of technology. So the issue is how to build characters into the mind and body of our children, our youngsters, which is very challenging now with the advancement of technology. A lot of moral problems socially, and also to go further to youth and come to university or higher learning institution. This is today we can't discuss everything, and I'm not an expert in that. We need experts in different schools of education. We need experts in early child education. But now early child education, with the advancement of technology in our houses, including I would say with my grandchildren, I can see that they are succumb to advanced technologies, all toys and electrical toys, whatever digitalization of mechanics, where they are today compared with us in the past. So how to assure that the asalatul Islam, the principles of akhlaq, can be survived and can be embedded, mengakar, in the personality of our grandchildren, cucu-cucu, bahasa Malaysia, bahasa Indonesia, cucu-cucu, al-ahfad. Can we make sure this, with advancements of COVID-19, of course, we have to face it. But I want to go beyond that, because we want to say that bye-bye with COVID-19. We are facing a new era, a new technology. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Inna zamana qad istadar," that the time has evolved. Inna zaman qad istadar, meaning that we have to face all these advanced technologies. The question is, are we ready in terms of inputs, the Islamic inputs in the digitalization of materials for our kids, for our grandchildren? This is my question. We need to collaborate. Even during this pandemic, I think we still can make an advancement of organizing this program properly, professionally, not in a hodgepodge situation, but rather to be systematically for every month or 3 months, so that the good brains of Muslim educators specializing in different modes of education can bring the inputs of this new era in order to produce learning tools, learning materials, a part of conventional and now with the advanced technologies. So this is what Abul Hasan Ali An-Nadawi, Allah yarhamu, the late Abul Hasan Ali An-Nadawi from India, the great scholar of Islam, when he talks about knowledge, education, always he reminds us that everything in the past must be kept intactly, because they are treasure for us, from the Quran and Sunnah, and from the Sahaba, from the ulama of the past, ulama us-salaf, and now ulama al-khalaf. But things which are evolving, the so-called modernity, with the rapid of science and technologies, we cannot run away from these challenges. So my humble submission today, this program is good in order to honor the celebration of one of the most successful Islamic social movements in the world, none other than Muhammadiyah, as what Professor Ismail Raja Al-Faruqi said. Muhammadiyah is the only one organization in the Muslim world, which has succeeded in establishing the Islamic schools, which is big in numbers. And our brother Professor Habib said to me just now before we start our program that Muhammadiyah managed to integrate knowledge long time before the coming of triple IT. Contribution of Professor Said Naqib Al-Attas, the resolution from Makkah Conference 1979, the first conference of world Muslim education, where they talk about the importance of integration of knowledge. And now, with the digitalization, I think our children can be more effective in terms of their mind and psyche when they can combine modern technologies of exposing natural beauties created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this theoretical aspect, taking from the Quran and Sunnah stories, then I think it can mold mind of our children, inshallah. So that I think this program must go on and should be more specialized and invite different scholars, excellent teachers who have vast experiences in the Muslim world. I'm sure that the experience of Turkey, in particular, the so-called now I cannot remember the Fateh school or whatever, and other examples of the good schools in the Muslim world can come together, and we develop from early part of childhood, children in primary schools, and coming to youngsters, youth, and universities. For universities today, I think there are challenges, but I think less than early child education. Dulu pun, saya cakap bahasa Indonesia, guru-guru yang dilatih di mana-mana tempat dalam dunia ini, termasuk di Barat, mereka mengatakan bahawa mengajar kanak-kanak di sekolah rendah, sekolah dasar itu paling sukar daripada mengajar anak-anak muda di fakultas-fakultas, di university. Because psychologically, children, they have different emotion, they have different mind setup. We have to have good psychologists to know of their behaviors. And today, with the challenge of modern technologies, with the outside environment from our houses, with TVs, with all sorts of good things and bad things, I think it is a great challenge. Wallahu a'lam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the amazing sharing, Professor Muhammad Nur Manuti. Okay, let me highlight some of the important points from Professor Dr. Manuti. First, that pandemic conditions leads to change on the way on how we incorporate technology and education. So facilitating teachers with the professional development and also curriculum design to integrate technology, Islamic values and science is very important right now. So that's why as the educators, we have to be able to develop our professionalism. And now our last speaker is Ustadz Adam Aslam. Let me highlight some important points from Ustadz Adam Aslam. He was born in Leeds, April 13, 1996. He is quite young. He is 11 years old younger than me. He accomplished his arts and humanities from University of Leeds in 2005. And now he's working on his PhD in the University of Bradford in the field of history and politics. He also has many experiences dealing with community development. The first is the publicity officers and trustee in Concord Namaste Fund. The Concord Namaste Fund aims to support young people in Leeds and engage their interfaith journey or support groups of young people to create projects which bring people together. And last, he is the youth worker and men's sport worker in Santona Women's Center. He also mastered 5 languages. The first language is English, of course, and then Arabic, limited working proficiency, and Bahasa, of course. He is able to speak Bahasa Indonesia fluently, and Punjabi, and also Urdu. And he also received honors and awards. The first is Matthew Haddon Community Award in November 2018 from the Leeds District Police Independent Advisory Group for dedicated hard work to community in Hare Hills, with particular reference in resilience, community engagement, and safeguarding of local youth over the Halloween and bonfire period on 2018. And now he is going to present his presentations under the title Exploring Introductory Theory as a Framework for Motivating and Growing Young People Through Difficult Times. Ustadz Adam, the time is yours. Okay,
والحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Words of peace, love, and appreciation. I know everybody is feeling very tired. I'm the last speaker. I'm so sorry. I'm that person. Inshallah, this Bule, this British boy will hurry up in the remaining time that I have. But I want to maximize this opportunity. Firstly, to the ulama, the scholars, the professors, very, very prestigious people. I'm literally a nobody in comparison to our honorable professors from Malaysia, our ustads from Turkey. But you have people who are experts in theory, people who are academics and practitioners, and then you have simple practitioners like me who take the theories of our great ulama, like the honorable doctor, and we just try to bring it into the real world. Friends, I'm going to try to share my screen. So if I don't get this right, okay, multiple persons can see my screen. Can they see my screen? Can you see my screen? No. Right. Okay, advanced. One person can share. Okay. I need some guidance as to how my PowerPoint can be shown, and then inshallah I can get going. Oh. Could I ask the chair to share the screen so I can access it? Yes, thank you. But I just need to be able to share my screen.
Okay, share screen.
If that's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Okay, let us arrange for you. Share screen.
Here we are. Here we are. I think that's working. Okay, share. Right, can people see this?
Okay.
Are people able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Right, so people can see the slides?
Yeah, we can see clearly your screen share.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you for your sabr, for your patience. Firstly, I'm next time I check my LinkedIn account, I need to update it because there were some corrections to be made, but I am a nobody in comparison. So thank you, my old friend Ustad Dharmawan. The first time I met him, he took me on his motorcycle and drove across the country just for fun. So it's an honor to be sharing a platform with him. Of course, yes, I am a real Brit, but my family hail from Pakistan, India originally. Since 1960, we've been living in the United Kingdom. My mother is sat next to me. That's how young I am. So, Jazakallah khair, Mother, for listening. Barakallah fi you and to all the wonderful brothers and sisters at home. Now, of course, choice theory. What on earth is this theory? It is the theory of a non-Muslim academic, and I will be exploring and introducing the theory and how it links into the relevance of our work as teachers and tutors and practitioners during COVID. Firstly, some context. I am from the United Kingdom. It's united because it's one of four countries. I am from the country of England, from the city of Leeds. No, I'm not from London. It's like saying, are you from Jakarta? No, Jakarta isn't the only great city in Indonesia, or Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So, of course, Leeds is one of the major cities in the north. And Leeds was one of the worst hit cities in the last 3 years from coronavirus. This is a update from the last 12 hours by the BBC. No, I cannot speak English like the BBC, but I try my best to maintain my accent. 61,000 deaths. There have been more deaths in the United Kingdom in English than in any other country in Europe. There are more cases here than there are in Pakistan, the country of my father, where there are something like 15,000, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's better controlled in other countries. And our government has been very challenged by the response of the people. But Alhamdulillah, as of this week, we are beginning to see a decrease, a trajectory of, uh, of obviously the coronavirus and its impact upon communities in the UK. Now, obviously, this was a very scary time. I know that the majority of people on this call or in this conference are Muslim. Believe it or not, Muslims are one of the scapegoat communities. What does scapegoat mean? Blame the Muslim, blame the Jewish community, blame the immigrants. I'm going to show you here a Malaysian, I'm going to show you some Somali, Sudanese, Arab, African people. What do these people share in common? They share in common two things. These are all Muslims, British Muslims, migrant Muslims, and they all were amongst the first people to die of corona in the UK. The first four doctors who were shaheed to die of saving the lives of other Brits were four Muslim doctors. You see them at the top. And nurses, medics, medical practitioners, amongst the highest number of people who were affected were the Muslim community, because the Muslim community make a major part of the medical world. And of course, medical education and the study of science is pushed upon us by our poor grandparents, our poor parents who came from war, who came from poverty, and say, study science, study science. But I didn't study science. I started to study psychology and mental health later on in my studies, but I'm very much a history student in my background. But here's the first reflection. My students, my friends, the people around me were scared. We talk about khawf wal ju. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this mizan, this balance of emotions. Our relationship with Allah is described as khawfi wal ju. It's always about this fear and hope, fear and hope. We never fear Allah without having hope in Him. We never hope in Allah without feeling ashamed to disappoint Him. It's interchanged. So we fear dying of corona. Our young people, they just don't know what to think. And then you see this negative perception in the media. So this is why this slide says our narrative. Our narrative is not to say, look at these immigrants. Of course, Malaysia, one of the most diverse countries in the world, Taiwan, an international state of interest political background. Indonesia is more homogenous, but I know from all over Indonesia come to study and live in Jogja, and it's been my home for about 3 to 4 summers, and it's one of my favorite countries. Saya cinta Madrasah Muallimin, saya cinta Muhammadiyah, alhamdulillah, and I say that from my heart. But the beauty of understanding the British context is that you can take this narrative and keep it negative, or you can change it on its head. And when we speak to our children, we don't say, look at what the media is saying. They're already checking. Your children are smarter than you when it comes to media. They are already aware. After 2006, we have access to the world in our hands. And that is where there is a transformation in education, in learning, in accessing good and bad information. But remember something, we can be influenced by so many places. We have algorithms that push advertising. But to quote the main person that I would like to talk about today, William Glasser, we choose everything we do, including the sadness we feel. So we can choose to feel scared. We can choose to feel depressed. We can choose to feel broken by the effects of COVID. But we can flip it and make it into a positive. These are not victims. These are shaheeds. These are academics, educated role models. One of the things that is missing when we plan for education is not just what are the theories, but who are the role models that embody that. And by the way, every single person in this video, young or old, is a role model to somebody else. To quote Gramsci, who was a socialist academic, he said, every human being has capacity, but they don't always know their full capacity. So we have the capacity to do anything, but we don't always realize without pushing ourselves how wide our capacity is. And that is what a mentor is. A mentor is someone that challenges you, pushes you, but they see the beauty in you and they remind you of your beauty. And this is our responsibility to our young people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, the Hadith al-Rahmah, if you wish to see Allah's beauty, then be beauty, embody beauty. The Hadith, the Kalam can be translated, but embody it. You want Allah hope, be hope. And this is something we all have the power to be in our own small way. Now, yes, Glasser is a non-Muslim, and I am a Muslim born into a Muslim family. My great-grandfather was a Muslim da'i, but my ancestors were Muslims, and we live in a non-Muslim society with many of my teachers and mentors being non-Muslims. Some of the greatest people of adab were non-Muslims in my life. They taught me more about Islam than some of my Muslim friends, because the number one personality Allah Azza wa Jal talks about in the Quran, according to Khairul Khafir, which is a commentary of Fawz al-Kabir, is a hypocritical person. Someone who does not try to be themselves. Now, in the work that I work with schools and colleges, and I work outside. I'm more of a youth worker, a community educator than our esteemed academics. And there's sort of four aspects to the work we do. We know young people are the experts online. Empower them to be the directors and the leaders and the social media coordinators, an active role within our organizations. Not just here is amana on you, here is the izzah on you, the title on you. Because when you give somebody validation, a title, a value, you're giving them responsibility, you are showing them that you value them. And for a young person in a time like this where there's question mark, that is so important. So it's important to use positive messages. It's important to get out on the streets, not da'wah with the Quran. Don't give people Quran. We Muslims do not even understand the themes of the Quran. And we're giving people a Quran and saying, read, read, read. Traditional da'wah tables are not as powerful as they used to be. What's important is that when our teams go onto the street, these are young people who go out and they speak with other young people. But it's not just about giving information. It's about listening, active listening, allowing young people to give you da'wah back, to make tabligh to you. Because a lot of the time, young people are suffering. Mental health in the education sector is a very new subject. And it's very problematic. Anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. According to, say, a report that I worked on in the last year, looking at 150 young people in Leeds, mental health and depression and the pressures of growing up are scary. The impacts it has on our children. What space are we giving them to speak, to share? And that's why number three, online, we create workshops and presentations. Sometimes stop being so formal. We need to create informal environments for the students just to chill and to talk and to be children. And remember, it is not just the school's responsibility, it is a triangle. The parent, the teacher, and the community. So who are the community organizations in Britain? The churches, the masajids, the youth clubs, the community organizations. In Leeds, we have developed a community partnership between all the external youth organizations working together. First phase, just to share how we are dealing, because I live in the Leeds 8, my kampong, my district is Leeds 8, but the community is very migrant. We have 150 languages. It's very different to West Leeds, where the community is very English and middle class. So we need to work as individual cities to share information. And meetings like this are important. But once a year, is it enough to share our understandings? Does it need to be more regular? Here is a question. So what I'd like to do, with your permission, is to talk a little bit about this theory of choice. Now, in the UK is one of the only countries where children are being sent to school. We call this teaching bubbles. No more than 15 children are allowed in a classroom. Here are some examples of the risk assessment, of the planning you must do to have a classroom. Maybe it's similar in your country. My students in Indonesia and Morocco and Malaysia, they say, Adam, this is crazy, because I invite students from Muallimin, alumni, to meet with my students online so they can meet and say, hey, what's happening around the world? I can watch YouTube and movies. Let me meet other young people. Just like we have this forum, why do we not have a youth forum? We are talking about young people's education. Let's bring them to the table. Let's give them the voice to also share their perspectives. We have a senior team. We should have a youth board as well, and they should work together to discuss these topics. We have the academics, but the real experts are the young people themselves. Look at here, the bubbles themselves. We must keep 2 meters apart. We must always wear masks and gloves. The teacher must remain one teacher to an entire group of 6 to 12 students. Every time a student enters the classroom, they have to press this barcode, and there is a national grid. If that young person has connection with somebody else who has got COVID, that person will be asked not to come to school, and the entire group collapses, as in the class closes. So it's very difficult and tiring for teachers, but it's also a possibility in terms of what schools are doing. So this is the choice theory. With the time that I have left, I'd like to do a quick run through of why the choice theory has been important for me. Because over this couple of months, our consortium has been doing training, and this training has allowed us to look at different concepts. So if you would like to know more, choice theory by William Glasser. He was writing in the 70s and 80s, and he was interested in behavior, in motivation. Many of you teachers are saying, how do I motivate my young people? Well, this is a book, it's a bit out of date now, but it's still a very relevant text. If you go to a website called Street Games is an organization of British practitioners who have updated their understanding of Glasser's work. And also, the Glasser Foundation is a national organization, and they have a teacher's wing. What is the choice theory? It's universal, whether it be usuli or dunyai. It's universal, hence why I've brought it to this meeting. Choice theory is based upon the idea that every individual has the power to control themselves. It sounds so simple, but our young people are always told what to do. They are not asked what they think. They are not asked, do they believe in themselves? Do they believe they can? Yes, you can, was Obama saying. We tell them, but do we invite them to believe that? Inviting and telling are two different things. One is hierarchical from the top, and one is from the bottom. So choice theory, what is its objective? It's saying to yourself, I have responsibility for my life. Nabi Adam was given the names of Allah, and then Nabi Adam was told, you are Khalifa of this world. So we all are khulafa, not just the adults, the children, the teenagers. We are all khulafa. We are all the allies of Nabi Adam. But sometimes we act like we are the gatekeepers, the controllers, and we think we can control others, and this affects our teaching style. But the studies show that negative behavior can be reduced when we allow a person to feel empowered. So they say, I want to take responsibility, but we have to show them that their choices are what are important. And life is all about the choices you make. For this is why we have Yom Qiyamah. So the first step, with your permission, the first, and there's 4 areas of this, 4 areas. Area 1, you are a mentor. You are a father, a mother, a teacher, a youth worker. What is the world in the mind of your child? Okay, my house, my children, my family. What is inside their mind? How do they see the world around them? Such an important question. We call this quality world. We call this quality world. Meaning, what is the quality, the value, the positives in my eyes, in my life as Adam, young man, as the young man here, the young sister here. So the questions to ask, what do students think is important to them? Don't tell them what is important. Ask them what is important to them. What is the environment we are creating from them? They're surrounded by myths. They're surrounded by fear. They're surrounded by negativity. So ask them, describe the life that they live. Describe the world they are in. It's also important that we recognize every child needs at least 5 things. And Glasser was able to divide all the things that the nafsu wants into 5 categories. And I will explain this in a minute. But remember 2 things. You only understand something when you ask somebody else, did you understand me? And it's not until you show a young person, I care about you. Wallah, we are always teaching and talking and preaching, but do we ever say, I care about you? I value you? Wittgenstein says, look at the language we use. It has a direct impact on the way we see the world. I care about you. What do you wish for? What do you want? And whenever a young person speaks to you, always make sure before you give an answer, clarification. Sorry, am I right in believing you said this? Why do you think this? Oh, how did you get your conclusion? This is really important. And this takes us to the second phase. Our quality world, how we see our dunya, is connected to our nafsu, our identity inside. And according to Glasser, Glasser says there are 5 categories. Every young person wants to be loved. Do you ever hug your children? What did Rasulullah say to his companion who said, I do not hug my children, I make them strong? He said, may la'na be upon you that you do not show them muhabba. How do you want Allah to show you muhabba? So in an appropriate way, how are we showing love to our young people? We call this ummah. How do we show that student, you are part of the family, the madrasa, the classroom? It's not just the institution, it's your home, it's your family, not just political, but you are safe here. You can say what you feel. I will not judge you. We are here to listen. Power. Everybody wants power. It's not a bad thing. Power isn't bad. The power to speak, the power to communicate, the power to love, the power to share. We all want power. But when somebody says to you, well done, I'm proud of you, it allows the young person to feel like, oh, okay, so I'm not a bad person. Because many young people are the worst enemy of themselves. They attack themselves. I don't have good grades. Allah is punishing me. I'm a bad person. This is dangerous. Freedom. We all have akhlaq and usul. But we need to make sure that with the limited capacity we have, we give young people sometimes the freedom. Sometimes a young person might swear accidentally. Sometimes a young person may share information and you're like, stop. Sometimes Rasulullah would speak to people in different ways. And the Quran says in Surah Hujurat, speak to people on their level. There is time to be informal and there's time to be formal. This is very valuable because sometimes you could be there at the right time. And instead of telling them off for not having adab, you're allowing them the space to speak. Fun. We always make things serious. These are kids, these are young people. Imam Taqi Usmani of Pakistan said, we are all children, even the ulama, and we all want to have fun. This is the nafsu. So we should allow the online environment to be fun, not just learning, but enjoying and playing. And number 5, all human beings are here to survive. Fil hayatikum, in the dunya. So we need to allow the young people to know that we are here to support them. They are not on their own. So to summarize, Glasser says every human being, every child needs 5 things: to feel like they can survive, to have a ummah, a belonging, a sense of power and responsibility, a sense of freedom without being judged, and the chance to be happy. Remember, this impacts our behavior, and all children do bad things, but often it's because something is missing. If I take away your sense of belonging, if I take away your freedom, if I take away your fun, something is missing from that child. I often have students who commit knife crime, who are drug dealers, and the parents say, Ustad Adam, na'udhu billah, they go against the Quran and the Sunnah. And I say, do you ever sit with your child and speak? His father is always busy. I'm always busy. So where is his sense of belonging? I give him money to go to school. Do you ever get him to come and help his father in the shop? Where is the sense of power? He must study, study, study. Where is the sense of fun? So when you remove one of these basic needs, the young person is vulnerable, and they will replace the opportunity you give them with somebody else. But they don't do it because they are a bad person. They do it because this is part of their nafs. And they have innamal a'malu bin niyati. Their niyyah is clean. Their niyyah is good. We must always remember that. Their niyyah is clean. Now, for the academics in the room, there is another version. This is not by Glasser. This is by Maslow. Maslow says something very similar. He has 5 categories of the nafsu. And he says, self-actualization, me. Do people recognize me? I'm human. Esteem, a sense of respect, love, happiness, psychology. But remember, Glasser has his 5 needs and Maslow has his 5 needs. But these needs is the way you interact with your children. And it's very important. So remember, the only person whose behavior is important to control is my own. Al-ta'lim min al-tabligh al-ulama. Children, when you talk to them, say, oh, but he does this and she does this and I don't like that. We have to keep reminding them, that's fair. I understand. I'm listening. But what can you do for you, for yourself? Remember, our life is behavior, according to Glasser. And our behavior can be categorized. Component 3, we talked about the quality of my world in my mind. Dua. We talked about the 5 needs, 5 things everyone needs to feel complete. Samad, complete, whole. Tiga, 3. We are now talking about behavior. There are 4 areas of behavior. To make your life easier, guys, I have a car. Vroom, vroom. The only behavior I can control is myself. Obviously, pedicab, petrak, whatever. We have cars, bad for pollution, na'udhu billah. But remember, there are 4 doors. There are 4 doors of a car. Door number 1 is amal, doing. Door number 2 is thinking. Istamalat. Door number 3 is feeling, anger, happiness, sadness, confusion. Door number 4 is physiology. How you breathe, how your body is acting, doing, thinking, feeling. This is all behavior. We can only control 2 of these things. What do you think? Doing, thinking, feeling, or psychology? We can control our a'mal and our aql, our thinking. And this is what Allah shows us. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَفَلَا تَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. We should encourage children to think for themselves, but be there to listen and to engage with them, not to correct them and say it's wrong. Try not to say yes or no. Try to say, have you thought about this? Rasulullah's sunnah was that he never said, haram, haram. He said, Surah Al-Qaf. Surah Al-Qaf is beautiful. It's his khutbah. Question, sawalat, sawalat, sawalat. Challenge young people to think with questions. not with answers. That will begin dialogue. And always make young people feel like they are the driver, they are driving, they are in charge, they are part of the process, they are driving the car. This will impact their behavior. So remember, how you think, how you feel. If a person does not feel like they can belong, they can survive, they have power, they have freedom, they have fun, they feel like they cannot drive the car, which is their behavior. Remember, all of this is giving them value, insaniyat, love, and freedom. These four behaviors are very important. The only behavior I can control is my own. We don't control our children, our students. We challenge them. We get them to think. But remember, when you are using online platforms, look at this memory grid here by Glasser. 90% of what we teach children only stays in their mind by what they share with others. We mentor children and then we get them to mentor others. When I was studying in Darul Uloom, my ustad would say, when you're learning your sarf, fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alu, fa'alat, ya Allah, long time ago that, he would say, go and teach it to your friends. And if they can read it like you, you're the boss. This is giving power to the student. This is giving them the sense of value. This is giving my nafsu this mizan, balance. And that's why we need to think. Don't just teach, engage. This is the difference between teaching pedagogy and youthful pedagogy. Remember, tell the child to focus on themselves. How can we get young people involved? Speak with your public health. Speak with your local da'wah team. How can young people create messages to challenge the myths, the problems? How can we get them to take the government's messages and creatively share it? This is responsibility. So some top tips. William Glasser says, when you as a mentor, support them. Look at the language. Support, encourage, listen, accept, trust. Don't criticize, don't blame, don't threaten. This negative energy, negative verbs, negative language is only going to make them look like this. And this is why we think we are doing a good job. One person just over their head. Remember, the way you see the world and the way they see the world is different. What we are doing is saying, look, Leeds is going through hell. But when I invite, say, my student and my good friend, his name is Malik Al Hussein, to come onto a discussion with British students. Malik is not fluent in English. He's an excellent student. And the Leeds dialect is difficult. But I give him the power to facilitate that meeting. And the young people feel like, wow, this is the situation in Indonesia. It's widening their perspective because their perspective is so small. So Glasser says, sometimes a child has a stupid perception, a negative perception of the world. That's because they only have limited information. Don't punish them. Don't criticize them. Give the questions. The sunnah is to question. Help them to see, where is the knowledge coming from? Where do you collect your information? Who is telling you this? Why do you think this? And this is called perception. And lastly, to conclude, I'm so sorry if I've gone over time, but to conclude, Glasser is saying, you cannot control anybody. So your students are there for you to empower, not to control. Their behavior is most powerful when they are doing a'mal, action. They are being creative. They are being physical, not just listening. You need to do more listening. And it's always important that we set goals with them. Every time we meet them, they are going through different problems. We call this in English a check-in. Before you start your lesson or activity, before I start, how is everyone feeling? Sense of value. How is everyone feeling? When I do a Zoom lesson, how is everyone feeling? And we go around the room and we challenge the students. You're feeling really bad? Okay, why is that then? Why is that? Oh, I failed my maths exam. Okay, so what do you think you can do to maybe change the situation? I didn't really revise for the exam. Okay, so set a goal. How many times a week are you going to revise? For how many hours? Who is going to help you? This is called smart targets, being smart. Sometimes we make big goals, big resolutions, but actually we just need to help young people to come up with a small, tiny goal. Because Glasser says tiny change is like a seed. It goes in, after 2, 3, 4 years, the tree begins to grow. But after 20 years, you can see how beautiful it was, even if the planter has passed away. And we are all planting the seed. That's why Rasulullah said, if Qiyamah is coming and you are planting a seed, don't run. Finish the a'mal, then run. Start and finish. You all have the power to help other young people, your students, your children. And so I finished this presentation by saying, you can read more about William Glasser, you can read more about his theory, but as a Muslim imam, as a Muslim student researcher, as a Muslim youth worker, choice theory has helped me to be more kinder to my students and to listen more to how they are feeling than tell them what they need to do. This is an empowering part of tarbiyah. For Rasulullah did not just tell Ibn Mas'ud what to do and Imam Ali. He listened to their ideas also and let them be angry, let them be themselves, let Sayyidina Umar to be annoyed. And as a result, they became the great scholars that they became because Rasulullah gave them the equal platform, not the master versus slave perspective. There's so much more I could talk about. I ask for your forgiveness. I have gone over time. Thank you to all the ulama, the scholars. I'm sorry if I made any mistakes. Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Salamat and success. And inshallah, please have a look at the theory, critique it for yourself, and jazakumullah khair. This has been a fantastic event. I haven't been to sleep yet, but it's an honor to be part of this forum. Barakallah fi. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's a great and amazing presentation from Mr. or Ustad Muhammad Adam Aslam. So what he was talking about is about working smartly with young people and how to deal with them, on how to plan the goal smartly and empower them to fulfill their capacity. So it's the questions and answer questions. So I have highlighted some important questions addressed to distinguished speakers. The first is from Hidayatul Mabrur, and the questions is for Ustadz Habib Kirzin. One of the difficult things on the behalf of online learning implementation is how to measure the character or moral aspect during the learning implementation. As we know, teachers cannot directly supervise the students' conditions. And do you have any advices about technical provisions for us as teacher to measure it? Okay. And for Ustadz Adam Aslam, how we conduct evaluation objectively to, especially to evaluate character of education, especially in this pandemic era. Okay. And then for Ustadz Professor Dr. Muhammad Nurmanuti, how do Malaysian ulama protect their millennial generations from the degradations of Islamic values in their lives? And the last question is for Ustadz Mahmud Jalab. Is there an effective effort for the teachers to build the character education for the students, especially in this online learning condition? Okay, I think those 4 questions are addressed to those 4 distinguished speakers. Okay, so for the first question is addressed to Mr. Adam. How to evaluate how students, especially in the characters education in this online learning situations. Okay, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 1 second. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. Anyway, right. Jazakumullah khair wa ahsan. Thank you for listening, everyone. I will say this. First, what is the goal you are setting as a teacher? Very often, we expect big change. Even the smallest, like the young person saying salam, wa jazakumullah khair. I was thinking today, you know, tadabbur is one of the most powerful tools of the Quran. And if a young person is able to ask more questions and to feel comfortable to tell you their mistakes, comfortable to discuss their progress with you, you have already made a big progress. Of course, when we plan with young people, it is best to do it one-to-one. That can be difficult. And it's important to give the young person enough space to not just talk about the learning, but to talk about their personal experience, their personal life, their personal story. What is their end goal? Often, we are on Sirat al-Mustaqim and we have our backpack with the tools of Quran and Sunnah. We have our companions, our ummah, and we are walking towards Akhirah. Akhirah is not the only halal goal in our life. We need to understand the picture of what the young person wants to do with their future, what they want to do. And sometimes they don't have the answer, but they need to be able to share what they are thinking. You want to be a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer? It's sometimes too soon to ask these questions. I want to explore dinosaurs. I want to explore fiqh. I want to be able to talk to my father without him being angry. It's about really understanding what goal does the young person have, not just evaluating your needs, but their needs. And then, of course, when we look at making a plan, Glasso says, look at something which is simple, setting simple goals, and week by week, meet with the student or the young person or every 2 weeks, or set a regular time, because Rasulullah said, he talked about his sunnah as do my sunnah in small amount but consistency with the same shart, of meeting the young person regularly to understand and to evaluate, number one, how they are doing, but number two, how they are doing with their personal goal, because sometimes the evaluation is because a young person has other problems. You didn't do your homework. You didn't study. You didn't do this. You failed the exam. But what else is happening? This is what quality work is. So when we sit with a student, it's called the Samiak. Samiak means when we set evaluation with the young person, we need to understand from that young person, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you're already doing to try to achieve this goal? And what can I do through resources, time, information? What can I do to help you with your plan? So when we evaluate, let them evaluate your teaching. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. This is ba'adab. No. Even Rasulullah would let his companions challenge him. So we must allow our students to evaluate our teaching, because when we receive feedback by using online forums or using private messages, oh, you've been learning this content. Can you please fill in this Google Doc or Menti, which is very popular, about scoring 1 to 10, how you have found the process, and then maybe 1-to-1 we can discuss. Or maybe don't just ask the student to evaluate with the teacher. Ask the student to evaluate with other students. You give them some questions. What is the goal for the lesson? And then they discuss. We call this peer mentoring. So there is mentoring between the teacher and the student, mentoring between the students. They are evaluating each other. And then as well, there is mentoring between the ustad and the student. And all of this together gives you a good picture of the progress of the young person, but then also what they now need to do next. And to maximize this discussion, let them do private evaluation through their forms, evaluation with their classmates, and then evaluation with you. This is a very important thing to look at.
Okay.
And like I say, Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, thank you, Ustadz Adam Aslam. Okay, the next question is addressed to Ustadz Mahmud Jeller. So, what is the teacher's effort to deal with character building during this online learning situation? Okay, the time is yours.
I am going to answer this question in Turkish. My translate will explain it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
İbrahim, beni duyuyor musun? Şimdi senin söyleyeceklerin ne soruyu söyle bana.
Az önceki sorunun aynısı değil mi?
Tamam, şimdi ben cevap veriyorum. Aynen söylesen. Biz yüz yüze eğitime alıştığımız için diğer eğitim şu anda bizim için zor geliyor.
Okay, so I think, yeah. No? Okay, Ustadz Mahmud, so we can
My
skip.
translator answer the question now.
Okay, okay.
İbrahim Bey.
Sudah masuk? Bisa? Not yet. So
Tekrar mı
maybe we can
edeyim?
skip.
Hayır.
Okay,
Peki,
so
unmute my translator.
okay, okay.
Okay. Sesini mi açsınlar? Sen söyle, buradan duyuluyor.
Can you unmute me please?
Mr. İbrahim.
Okay, let the committee find the translator. Ibrahim, okay,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Ben şimdi
Since we
söylüyorum.
get used to face, okay. Şöyle bir.
Yüz yüze eğitimde yaptığımız her şeyi uzaktan eğitimde online olarak da yapabiliyoruz. Söyle.
Since we get used to face-to-face education until now, it's a little bit hard to get used to this online education. However, whatever we can do on face-to-face, we can also achieve this by online education as well.
Şöyle düşünelim. Daha önce hiç yüz yüze eğitim yapmadığımızı ve eğitim hayatımıza ilk defa online olarak başladığımızı düşünelim.
Let's consider this. For a while, let's think that we have never done any face-to-face education before. This is the first time we start education in online.
Bir an bunu bir hayal edelim zihnimizde.
Let's assume this reality for a while in our minds.
Eğitimin bütün boyutları buna göre gelişecekti.
If this reality would happen, all sides, all aspects of education were going to develop according to these online teachings.
Ve bu bize çeşitli fırsatlar sunacaktı.
And this was going to offer a lot of opportunities to us.
Örneğin bireyselleştirilmiş eğitim için yoğunlaşacaktık.
For example, we were going to focus on individual education.
Tıpkı Peygamber Efendimizin sahabileriyle tek tek ilgilendiği gibi öğrencilerimiz de ilgilenecektik.
Just like our Prophet Muhammad showed special attention to each of his companions, we were going to show individual attention to our students.
Onlara bireysel hedefler göstererek o hedeflere nasıl ulaşabileceklerini söyleyecektik.
We were going to teach our students to create their own plans, to develop their own plans, and we were going to help them achieve their own plans.
Örnek vermek istiyorum. Şu anda benim 6 tane hafızlık yapan öğrencim var. Telefondan beni arayarak okuyorlar. Ben de ekran üzerinden onların yanlışlarını çizerek anında onlara WhatsApp'tan gönderiyorum.
I would like to give you an example. Right now, I have 6 Hafiz students. They call me from my cell phone and start reciting their Quran from their memorization, from their memory. I listen to them, and whenever they make a mistake, I just send them from WhatsApp their mistakes and ask them to develop themselves.
Başka bir örnek vermek istiyorum. Öğrencilerime bir hayat planı
To
çizerek
give another example,
ne şekilde yürümeleri gerektiğini belirleyip hangi kitapları okuyacaklar, hangi becerileri kazanacaklar, bütün bunları belirledikten sonra onların bireysel takibini kolaylıkla yapabiliyoruz.
I would like to give you another example. I am encouraging students to prepare individual development plans according to their own desires, their own selves, to read which books, to have which education. And this way, I am able to track their personal developments one by one. This online teachings, online education helped me track each student individually and help me encourage them individually.
Problemin temelinde bizim toplu eğitim yapıyor olmamız büyük rol oynuyor.
Right now, there is a big important issue. We are used to teach in math. I hear myself back. I don't know why. Do you hear me nice, or does my sound repeat?
Elbette ki bu kaçınılmaz bir problem.
I think you hear me well. Okay. Let me start over again. The problem is we get used to teach mass people, like a lot of people at once.
Bu sebeple
and the problems are inevitable in this mass education.
Bu sebeple öğrencilerimizi toplu olarak düşünüp bireysel olarak yetiştirme planları yapmalıyız.
That's why we have to think our students as a whole and develop projects individually to develop students.
Öğrencilerimize kendilerine yakın kıssalar anlatarak, yani onların örnek alabileceği kıssalar anlatarak onları bireysel gelişime yönlendirmeliyiz.
We have to encourage our students to their personal developments by giving them examples which they can achieve. For example, people like mentor people. We have to show them example of living people who the student can be like him.
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much for your question.
Okay, Okay, so a great answer from Ustad Mahmud Jalab. Okay, because of our limited time, so the last question is addressed to Mr. Ishak. How to educate Islamic values, habituation, for example, and da'wah to the students in this pandemic related to the minority of Islam in Taiwan effectively. So, the question is how to educate Islamic values, habituation, or for example, and da'wah to the students, uh, in this pandemic era related to the minority of Islamic populations in Taiwan. Okay, the time is yours, Ustad Ishak.
So Taiwan is a non-Muslim country. The population, Muslim population, only 320,000 only. But foreign Muslim in Taiwan around 300,000. 300,000 is a foreign Muslim. Local Muslim only 20,000. 20,000 only, not too much. So we give our Muslim, young Muslim, our children, the Islamic course only in the mosque, masjid, like a Persian train. We give the Sunday. Every Sunday, we teach him memorize Quran and how and salat, perform of salat, and adab and akhlaq to our children. We take only this chance, Sunday morning. So also we give we in the society, our school, they don't understand Islam, the limited only, very shortly. So we are very concerned about we keep our iman, and we give our children from also we give the father and mama and mother. We call him to mosque to learning the Islamic knowledge, and at home to perform on the Islam to his children. Only like this. So we are the masjid is our madrasa. Masjid is our madrasa. And other way, many foreign, many non-Muslim convert to Islam. They become the Muslim, new Muslim. So we also give the new Muslim study. Also we take a course to him. Third, we give to the society. We give the society. We go into society. We teach the non-Muslim, the Islamic knowledge to change their mind, to change their misunderstanding about Islam. So in our society, we have many activity to da'wah to them, to da'wah to non-Muslim. So two way, our children, our Muslim family, we call him to mosque, masjid, calling the masjid to learning and to keep our Islamic value. Because in our society, many Buddhists, Taoism, and Christian, and traditional idol worship. So our Muslim in this society, very many challenges. So no problem, but we are we keep our Islam is in this island a long time, 70 years. So our Muslim come from mainland China, 1949. 1949, Muslim come from mainland China to Taiwan. At that time, no masjid, no masjid, no any halal food, no any grave, Muslim grave, no. Until now, we have 10 mosques. We have 10 mosques. We have halal food, halal restaurant, and Muslim funeral, Muslim grave. We also continue our struggle, jihad fi sabilillah. Our jihad is take pension. Our jihad is make dua. Our jihad is cooperation with foreign Muslim, with a Muslim country. So we are keeping our Iman, our Islam in this island, inshallah. Well, thank you for your question. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for the answer, Ustadz Ishak. And let me conclude your answer. So they do not know Islam, so that's why we have to introduce them to Islam with halal tourism or etc. Okay, I think that's all about this conference and the seminars from our distinguished and amazing speakers. And this is the end of our sessions, and I hope that this conference will bring the brightness for us. And I think that's all for this conference. I give the time to the Master of Ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we step to the final session of this conference. I hope it was a pleasure to meet virtually and get in touch to all of you. We hope that this kind of conference and idea sharing not just ends here as well. Thank you very much for your cooperation and kind attention. We deliver the highest appreciation to all panelists that had delivered their speeches. Thanks to all of the crew that involved in this conference. We apologize for mistakes and unpredictable technical fault, if any, that occurred in this forum. But before we close this conference, we're gonna take the photo session together. So we ask to all participants, especially all of the panelists, to activate their camera, and we take the shoot of the photo together right now. We will waiting for you. Please activate your camera, and we will take the photo shoot together. Okay, if all of you is ready now, we're gonna take in 3, 2, 1. Once more. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much for your cooperation and attention. Ladies and gentlemen, happy 102nd anniversary. Selamat Milad Madrasah Muallimin Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta yang ke-102. Thank you very much for your attendance. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz Mahmud Hoca. Ve Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
That was fun. MashaAllah.